Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking a highly provocative analysis of a movie you absolutely know and probably love. We're talking about Disney Pixar's 2004 classic, The Incredibles. But the source material we're looking at today argues this isn't just some fun, popcorn superhero adventure. No, this analysis claims the film is actually an explicit right-wing manifesto. It's a wildly fascinating exercise in media analysis that really shows how political ideology can be mapped directly onto pop culture.
To break this down, we're going to look at 5 key areas from the source: the right-wing thesis, bureaucracy versus greatness, the traditional family restored, syndrome as the egalitarian villain, and finally, exceptionalism over mediocrity.
Starting off with Section 1, the right-wing thesis, a political reading.
Right off the bat, the source material claims The Incredibles tackles some seriously heavy political issues by actively pushing back against progressive cultural trends. The analysis identifies a few core themes here: the myth of affirmative action, the rise of what it calls the managerial state, the domestication of men, and this idea of egalitarianism acting simply as resentment. According to the creator of this analysis, the whole movie is basically a celebration of natural hierarchies and inherent undeniable gifts.
Moving on to Section 2, bureaucracy versus greatness, the managerial state.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this interpretation frames the movie's main conflict. We're not just looking at good guys punching bad guys, it's natural excellence battling bureaucratic red tape. The source uses this specific term, the managerial state, to describe that soul-crushing, beige corporate dystopia Mr. Incredible is stuck in at the beginning of the movie. According to the analysis, his depressing insurance desk job perfectly represents a system literally designed to neuter great men, a system that prioritizes strict procedures and the constant threat of lawsuits, all just to appease the unexceptional masses.
And this perfectly highlights the source's view of a society that actually punishes the exceptional. On one hand, you've got natural excellence, right? Saving lives, doing the right thing, or his son Dash's absolutely incredible athletic speed. But that's contrasted directly with enforced mediocrity. Think about the lawsuits against heroes for just doing their jobs, the participation trophies, or the mom Helen constantly forcing her kids to just fit in and act normal. The source argues the film is pointing out the absolute tragedy of a society that suppresses individual greatness just in the name of safety and forced artificial equality.
Let's look at Section 3, the traditional family, restoring order.
This part is fascinating. The source observes that the family's superpowers aren't random at all. They intentionally mirror very traditional household roles. Think about it. Mr. Incredible's super strength directly links him to the traditional patriarch and provider. Elastigirl's literal flexibility maps to the highly adaptable modern mother, right? The one who has to stretch herself in a million different directions. Dash's speed reflects the boundless, chaotic energy of a young boy, while Violet's literal force fields represent the defensive, protective barriers of an insecure teenage girl. The analysis argues this design choice emphasizes natural biological realities over modern blank slate theories. Basically, these characters literally embody traditional gender and family roles.
And the source points to Mr. Incredible's character arc as even more proof of this traditionalist message. Look at where he starts: suppressed, depressed, stuck in a cubicle. But as he secretly resumes his hero work, notice what happens. He doesn't abandon his family. Actually, reclaiming his natural purpose makes him a significantly better husband and father. He re-engages, he gets back in shape, he restores romance with his wife. The source claims this clearly demonstrates that male fulfillment outside the home doesn't destroy the family. It actually fuels stability and completely restores proper household order.
Next up is Section 4, egalitarian villain, syndrome's motives.
So how does the bad guy fit into all this? Well, the source interprets Syndrome not just as a spurned fan with a massive grudge, but as an actual avatar for a Marxist impulse to forcefully level natural hierarchies. The analysis argues that Syndrome is entirely motivated by deep envy and bitterness toward people who are naturally superior to him. In this view, his entire ideology is just resentment hidden behind a superhero mask. To fully grasp this, we've got to look at how the source defines egalitarianism within the context of this film. It's interpreted here not as some noble pursuit of equality, but as a highly destructive desire fueled by jealousy. The analysis argues that because Syndrome lacks natural competence, remember, he's basically described as clumsy and unexceptional, he has to rely entirely on artificial technology and bureaucratic treachery. He falsely elevates his own status by dragging the naturally gifted folks right down to his level.
Just look at Syndrome's master plan, which breaks down into 3 clear steps. First, eradicate the naturally gifted superheroes. Second, stage a massive false flag attack to gain unearned public praise. And third, sell his fancy technology so that literally everyone can be super. You know that famous line of his, when everyone's super, no one will be? Well, the source highlights that specific line as the ultimate left-wing agenda, an attempt to enforce equality by completely destroying true excellence.
And that brings us to Section 5, Exceptionalism over Mediocrity.
Wrapping up the arguments, the source outlines two deeply opposing forces in this thematic battle. On one side, you have the Incredibles. They represent merit, individual greatness, natural hierarchy, and a strong sense of duty. On the flip side, you have Syndrome and the broader managerial society, representing forced equality, endless bureaucracy, resentment, and totally artificial power. Because the Incredibles unequivocally win in the end, the analysis concludes that the film explicitly champions natural hierarchy over the absolute misery of enforced equality.
So what's the ultimate takeaway according to this interpretation? It's simply this: not everyone is special, and that is perfectly okay. The source argues the film's core message is that denying natural hierarchies only makes society miserable. When you force people to fit in and suppress their unique natural gifts, literally everyone suffers. But, on the other hand, recognizing and fully embracing true excellence, well, that's what actually restores order, safety, and true happiness to the world.
To wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to chew on. How drastically does our own political ideology shape the way we consume and interpret entertainment? Because whether you completely agree with this right-wing analysis of The Incredibles, or you completely reject it, it undeniably shows how differing lenses radically alter our media literacy. It really leaves us wondering, what hidden messages might we be absorbing, or maybe even projecting onto the media we consume every single day? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep asking those big questions.